Stanford University.
Well, welcome to my talk this morning. I think I'm going to be able to take you into discussions that you would not normally have in your conferences. How many of you have had cosmetics discussions so far today? Anybody? No, not yet. So, well, I'm going to bring you into this world, and I promise for the men, you will learn all about this, and you can go home and impress your wives tonight with your brilliant knowledge. So what I'm going to talk about is a new technology that actually combines multiple areas of science and brings a very unique consumer experience while doing that. So we want to create a new consumer experience. I'm going to describe the inspiration for it and then talk about how do you create the science that enables it, and then how do you actually do something that can deliver this to the market, bring profitability, and bring this user experience to people's lives. So HP, of course, has laboratories that do research for its own products. And we do a great number of research projects, how to build a better server, how to build a better networking switch, how to deliver content better. These are just sort of your standard projects. But we also have innovation that we do on behalf of some of our customers. We have some very large customers that depend on us for their IT needs. And oftentimes they'll say, well, can you help us with other things that we have? So you're managing our data centers or whatever, but can you work with us in other ways? And they come to the labs especially because all the wacky stuff always ends up in labs. So this is why HP has something to do with cosmetics, is because a customer came to us and said, we would like you to help us with cosmetics, specifically how to sell cosmetics better. Can you do something with us on that? And I thought, okay, this sounds pretty radical. This sounds like it could be interesting. So we have two different groups we have to think about here. First is the customer. Customer says, we think mobile technologies are cool. We want to do something cool and mobile and get young girls, teenage girls, to buy cosmetics. Why do we care about teenage girls? Because if you can lock them in at 12 or 13 in the US, they're your customer for a long time. Okay, so once you get a girl buying cosmetics, she'll continue to buy the cosmetics and she will tend to stay with that same brand for a long time. And if you think it's annoying to buy reoccurring ink, well, foundation and cosmetics is like that too. You have to buy it again and again. So it's a great market to be in once you can get them in your brands and enjoying your product. So how do we reach teenage girls? Well, teenage girls are, they like technology. They like their cell phones. And they are very gregarious. They're into social networks. They talk to each other a lot. But how can we really connect with them? They don't normally get as much information from the normal consumer channels. Newspapers, magazines. Magazines work for them, but they don't really deal with the normal sort of advertising channels. So when we look at consumer behavior, this is the part that really personally interests me, is why would somebody not buy cosmetics? And the reason is, it's not a lack of desire on the part of female purchasers to want to look good. Everybody wants to look good. The problem is this gunk in this bottle going to do it? If I buy this bottle and I take it home and I put it on my face, gosh, that model looks great, but am I going to look good? Okay, so what happens is women consumers, they have this desire to look good, and they go into a store and they're accosted with these arrays of shade. Like some companies have as much as 50 shades, some only 18, but that's about the range. And you look at them and you say, well, how am I going to figure this out? So you can go to the drugstores, which is very typical for teenage girls because it's a lower price point, and they look at these bottles on the wall, and they're double wrapped in plastic for hygiene reasons. There's no more testers. When they dry down after application, they're a different color. And they buy this stuff, they go home and apply it, and it's like, doesn't turn out the way they want. And then they're disappointed, or they go buy another one. Almost every woman has a drawer of unused products. I call it the drawer of shame. She will not admit to this, but there's a lot of products there that have never been used, or they just don't work. So then you have the upmarket opportunity. That's where you go into a large department store where there's the woman who has the products. She has them behind the counter. You can't go there and buy a lipstick if you want to. You have to go through her. She's scary. Because you'll walk up to her wanting a new lipstick and she'll say, no, 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 let's talk about pore control, shall we? Let's talk about your skincare regime. And you're just thinking, I just want a lipstick. Why am I being harassed? You know, I just want this product. So where do you go to get help? There's the scary woman at the counter who are then going to leave you feeling like if you don't buy all this stuff, you're going to look hideous. So you walk out with your $300 bag of stuff and all you wanted was a lipstick. It's a very uncomfortable situation. So women avoid that. So what I want to do is solve this problem of getting advice. Because the problem is women would buy the cosmetics if they knew that it would make them look good. So you want the advice. You don't want the harassment. And the other piece we know is that cell phones are everywhere. More specifically, camera phones are everywhere. So is there a way to take a camera phone and relate that to cosmetics? Well, interestingly enough, I don't think about a camera phone the way normal people do. I think about a camera phone as a mobile networked imaging sensor. It's not really a phone. I don't even think you need to talk on it. You just need the mobile sensor on it that will allow me to gain visual information about the subject and transmit it very quickly. When we started this project, really we're relying only on MMS features in phones and not downloadable applications. So I think the world has changed a little bit. But, well, there's a ton of camera phones shipped. The interesting thing about camera phones is that women take more pictures with them than men. So a lot of new technology devices, like there's this model where, okay, the women are going to be late adopters, they're not going to like it. But the women in phones, there's no problem. They love them, they're very comfortable with them, they take more pictures than men, and they're not afraid of them. And they view this technology device as a very personal device. It's like their friend. They sleep with it by their bed. They take it everywhere. It's a very personal device. So they're not afraid of it. This is just a very comfortable device for them. So it's a very good way for us to establish a relationship with a brand through the cell phone. So how do we do this? Well, there's a little bit of science that's involved. So the recommendation system that we build really boils down to a visual processing system. You want to be able to take a picture of a woman, send that picture over, receive the image, process the image, and tell her what are the correct foundations that will look good on her and other color cosmetics. And we want to make this easy to use. Anybody should just be able to pop it out of their purse, take a casually posed picture, no special equipment required, and get very quick responses. And it should be robust, easy to use, and work across all women of all skin tone populations, and tolerate a variety of lighting conditions. So that's the actual science problem. So the idea of take your picture with a cell phone, send it off and get back cosmetics advice sounds easy, but now how do we actually make this work? Well, this is not a great projector situation, but maybe you can tell. If you take, this is one of the women that we studied, if you take somebody's picture with different imaging devices, these pictures were taken at the same locale, same time, so essentially the same lighting conditions. If I were to sample a little area on her skin and literally look at the RGB values of those pixels in each of those pictures, you'd get different color values. If I use those color values to select cosmetics, in some cases she looks a little pale or washed out, others she looks rosy. What's her real skin color? I cannot give you advice on cosmetics without looking at your skin color. The women who are at the cosmetics counter, the experts, when you walk up to them, they're often going to cleanse your skin before they'll give you cosmetics advice because they have to see your skin tone. It is essential to get the correct skin tone or the cosmetics will not look appropriate on you. They won't be a pleasing effect. So different camera quality results in different density of pixels, but we also see very different image color values. So how are we going to fix that? Well, standard sort of thing is to do, is to cheat, so to speak. What we do is we put something in the scene that we know about. And that is this color reference card. And what we have here is a picture that was taken in a cubicle in HP. And the cubicle fabric in one picture looks pretty washed out. And that's the way the image came out of the camera. After color correction, you see the corrected image, the more bright, vivid image. If you were to judge from the uncorrected image, you wouldn't guess the person's skin color right. So we use this color chart to correct the coloring in the picture. This color chart's interesting because we experimented with a lot of different kind of colors. We thought, okay, we're going to get the major hues in here. And it turned out that what was most important was to have a reference chart full of skin colors that formed essentially a convex hull around all the skin colors of people on the planet. So we studied a lot of people. We got these skin color values out of libraries, out of studies, and we essentially have something that characterizes all the skin on the planet. So we use those skin tones predominantly to color correct the image, which means that if I take a picture of a woman, I may not color correct her blue sweater very well. I may not color correct her red shirt very well, but I will color correct her skin very well. So we trade off accuracy in one part of the color space where skin predominates for general color hue correctness in the rest of the color space. So that's one part that we solve. All right, so I can correct your color in the picture. Now I've got to find your face. So it turns out that HP, we had a very robust face detector for a long time. The reason we had that is because, you know those cameras, how you can get the red eye out and everything? Well, the way that you take the red eye out is that you first have to find the heads in the picture. So face detection has been a this is a code base going back over 20 years, that very quickly finds the faces in the pictures. Once you find the face in the picture, it presents you a bounding box around the face. So, okay, I've got the face, that's good, because I don't want to give her cosmetics based on her sweater or her hair. I want to have her skin color. So once we have the face, we then sort the pixels and we throw out everything that we consider to be specularities, everything that's going to be shine, sheen, shadow, not well illuminated skin. I do not want to judge someone's skin color based on odd parts of their face that were in shadow. I want their well illuminated skin. And that's that last panel that you see that looks sort of like the Shroud of Turin looking thing. That's actually the skin pixels that were not removed that we're going to use to judge the skin color. Now I have a whole bunch of pixels. Okay, that's good. Now what? Well, so far all I've done is imaging science. But now I need to go from imaging science into how do you actually select the cosmetics. And in HP Labs, you know, we know a lot about imaging. We know a lot less about cosmetics and what to put on. And this is where a human expert comes in. So what I do is I take that skin that's there, and we have studied to date now about 400 women. We bring them into the laboratory, we take a photometric measurement of their skin, we photograph them with several different cameras, we color correct them, we do the entire process on them. Plus, we have a human expert there, a cosmetics expert who will, after their skin is cleansed, will actually try different foundation shades on until she's satisfied she has the exact right cosmetic for her. Then we know a mapping between an exemplar's skin pixels and the correct shade of foundation. So now when I have a test subject, I bring the test subject in and I go and find out, well, where are some pixels that look just like hers? Who would she, look exactly like? Those are my exemplars that I'm testing her against. Once I find the exemplar, then I know, oh my gosh, this test subject, Betty, she looks like our 5 exemplars. She's got the exact same skin pixel distribution. And that's what these little ellipsoids are the distribution of skin color for each of the different cosmetic shades that we have in this is one brand of cosmetics that we've looked at. So the very top kind of ball there that you can see, which is a very, very light color. The women who wear that color, they're in RGB space, their pixels would all be in that region. The very bottom blue ellipsoid is a very dark color. The women who wear that color, their skin pixels are going to be in that area. So we have people in our exemplar database who have freckles, who have sunburn, who've been out skiing, have distribution of skin, coloring that's sort of odd. We have everything we can because we really want to have non-perfect, sort of really reflective of what people look like when they come in to be judged. So let me put the pipeline together for you. You take a cell phone, you have a color chart, you position the color chart so it's in the scene. Typically, women hold it. Looks a little bit like a booking chart in the police. But the reason that's good is because, roughly speaking, the only restriction we really have on lighting is that it needs to be enough lighting that it can actuate the sensors and that the plane of your face is roughly in the same plane as the chart. So if an illuminant is coming from the side and hitting part of your face and only part of the chart, it doesn't give good readings. It's really very hard to color correct that image. It's actually very hard to get a good image, period. So it's easy to hold up. That chart, by the way, can look very differently, and I'll give you some examples of that. But the chart is there, the woman's face is there. Once the image is captured, you send off an MMS. Our servers connect to the different cell phone carriers. We grab the MMSs. We extract the color chart. We use the color chart to color correct the image. We find the faces using the face detection system. Then we extract the pixels out of the face, remove all the ones that have specularities, and then we take the foundation recommendation system, which takes that distribution of skin color and uses the expert advice that we've gathered systematically to say, well, looking at your color, you're going to wear 302. And it puts together a little SMS message really quickly and sends it back to our cell phone. And now what I'm going to do is I'll show you a little video of how this actually works, and then I'll explain a little bit more. So let me show you the video because the video's way more fun.
HP has taken its expertise in imaging and web services and created an innovative mobile solution for consumers called Color Match. For generations, consumers have struggled with choosing makeup colors, resulting in dissatisfied customers. This new service offers on-the-spot expert advice designed to help cosmetics shoppers choose the right color. The shopper initiates the service by taking a photo of her face with a camera phone next to a color chart, either in a store or using a card distributed in a magazine or through the mail. The photo is sent to HP's servers via MMS. Using a series of algorithms, the server automatically interprets the photo, reads the color swatches, and adjusts and calibrates the photo to account for quality and lighting issues caused either by environmental factors or differences in mobile phones. Once the image is corrected, the system uses technology similar to that employed in red-eye correction to locate the user's face and eyebrows. The face is then compared to a database of over 200 skin tones. Once the skin tone has been identified, Color Match can instantly return recommendations to the shopper for foundation or other coordinating products. The advice, delivered to her phone via text message, allows her to buy with confidence. This service also offers a new avenue of customer relationship management for the vendor. Initial applications of Color Match are targeted at the cosmetic industry, but the technology could be applied to any area that requires color coordination and matching, from home decor to clothing to paint. With Color Match, the mobile phone becomes a key to customer satisfaction and more educated and successful decision-making at the point of purchase. HP has taken its expertise in
There's a lot of laughing there. I almost feel like I should take questions now. I'm almost done here, and then we can talk more openly about it. So we created this technology. We've seen a huge amount of customer interest. The women who've been involved in our studies, when they understand what we're doing, they just want to know, when can I have it? When can I buy it? Apparently there's a real lack of support out there for women's cosmetic needs. The science and technology is proven. We can actually get to the same level of accuracy as human experts. We've done blind tests where we've had one expert, our system, and then compared the results. And our differences from the expert are those within the differences between the expert and another expert. So we're within the discourse of human beings' ability to judge and recommend cosmetics. So we're as good as the lady at the counter, and you never have to worry that we're trying to push products because we've got a lot of 405 sitting there, and obviously you're a 405 today. We really, and women actually trust the system quite openly. And we were surprised because we thought women would be sensitive to taking pictures and sending them off, that there would be a lot of privacy concerns. But it turns out that if you give a woman advice that's useful, she's willing to give you a lot of information, she's willing to give you a picture, she's willing to do a lot of things, and we were surprised by that. And if you give her a coupon, she'll even give you her address and her phone number. It's very easy to get information. So now that we've created this, and we've got a prototype running and we've got it working, now we have to figure out, well, how do you actually bring something like this to market? So we've shown it to a lot of cosmetic companies. We went out with a press nearly 2 years ago about this, and we had every cosmetics company basically on the planet call and say, this is amazing. This has been a problem for a long time. You've solved it. This is excellent. So that's kind of where our focus is. And, as a scientist, I think, well, if you solve the technical problem, which there were a lot of technical problems here, and we solved them, I thought, oh, well, you're done. I mean, it's good. It works. What else do you need to know? Well, it turns out there's a lot you need to know, which is who's going to pay for it? Is she going to pay for it when she uses the system? Is there going to be a little debit on her account for using that? Is a brand going to sponsor this? I.e., the technology would be only exclusively licensed to one brand, and they would use it as part of their marketing program. And you would only get cosmetic advice on this brand because they're the ones who sponsored it. They're the ones who are running the system. However, consumers, they want you to give them advice on all the brands. They don't want just one brand. They'd love to know what they are in Dior, Chanel, and CoverGirl, because Dior and Chanel for them might be aspirational brands. It's just fun to know what they are without having been intimidated by the counter lady into sort of asking and getting the advice. So there's a real difference between what the customers, our cosmetics companies want to do and what the customers need. So trying to figure that out is complicated, and it limits your ability to capitalize on a technology. So this diagram is really sort of, you can create innovation, but there is this sort of Grand Canyon between that and actually delivering it to the customers. So we have proven innovation, and now we have these options of innovation with spinning this out from HP, because HP is actually not going to go into the cosmetics business. And this is not going to form a new line of inkjet, facial spraying printers that will dispense the correct foundation to you. It's actually it's compared to the size of businesses HP manages, it's actually a very small and very niche business. But for the cosmetics industry, which is a very large industry, this is a phenomenal technology. So a number of the companies that we spoke with about the technology said, oh, this is fantastic, but we want you to do it. We want you to run it. We want you to bring us about system, because they're not technology companies. Well, they might be chemistry companies, but they're not IT technology companies, so they don't want to run it. So it's very complicated on how you take technology out to the next step. So actually what's occurred now is that this technology has been licensed to one of the world's largest cosmetic companies, and it's sort of out of our hands at this point on how it will actually be driven out to the market. So I just want to close with the team here, because this project for me, I'm a networking computer scientist in mobile systems by background. And we needed networking people, we needed computer vision people, color science people. The color chart that you see in this picture was one of our first early endeavors in the color chart. But the color chart's actually found using computer vision. And we actually have color charts that look like butterflies, that look like flowers, that can look like any kind of brand materials you want. And all we do is we locate specific signature features on the card that have specific colors that we're looking for, that have been pre-assigned to the card and printed ahead of time. So we have, obviously people in printing and imaging who have to help us. We have color scientists, people who are very, very good at doing skin color assessments. So it's a very multidisciplinary team, and none of the pieces had this, none of these people could have done this by themselves. So it really brought us together. And it brought us together in a way that you had to have respect for all the other disciplines involved in there. I mean, if the system is breaking down, you can't have the networking people say, oh, it's the color algorithms are no good, and the expert statistician can't say, well, our experts were no good, So it's really, you have to have a lot of trust. You have to build a group that's very cohesive to make something this multidisciplinary function. And then I would just say that it's been very fun, because this is one of the first projects where being a girl helped. I've never had a networking project that helped. when I thought about how to do this for this big customer that says, come do something in mobile systems, I thought, you know, we don't want to buy cosmetics. I just can't figure out what to do. So let's see if we can take a cell phone and the imaging in the cell phone, let's take that imager and make it the eyes of the cosmetics consultant. And let's make the brain of the cosmetics consultant the IT system in the back that's going to process the colors and do the recommendation system. So let's take a mobile phone and really train that into the human expert. And when I told the guys in the lab, like, we're going to build this thing, they looked at me like I was nuts. We're going to do what? And I said, no, we're going to build a cosmetics advisory system. And I have to say that I have great colleagues because they said, are you joking? And I said, no, this is really hard science. Here's why. And they're like, oh, okay. And each of these people in here owned a piece of it. And I worked with them on different projects before, and so they trusted me that we had expertise. I mean, the color imaging extraction, color correction came from a video conferencing system that I worked on, where we had color calibrated the cameras correctly. We had 5 cameras that came out and did a 3D video conferencing system. So when I told him about this, if you can calibrate 5 cameras, why can't you do 1? He's like, okay, I'm in. So I have to say there's a lot of thoughtfulness, but when we did our first demonstration to a vice president from a cosmetics company of the first instance of the full end-to-end system working, and the cosmetics company spokesman said, oh my God, this is enormous. The guys looked at me in the team afterwards and said, you didn't make this up. You actually didn't make it up. Because they thought that I'd made up this whole thing about how hard it was and how difficult it was, and then they liked it. And then the other thing, Mike here at the bottom of the picture, who's kind of the end-to-end imaging processing expert, he said he loved working on this project. I said, really? Why? He goes, because it's so wacky and it's the best pickup line I've ever had. I tell women I'm working on cosmetics imaging. They go, really? Because it's great. I can get anybody to talk to me. So thank you for your attention.
For more, please visit us at stanford.edu.